Amina's hands trembled as she placed her cancer report on the kitchen table. The bold letters Stage 3 seemed to scream at her from the page. At 65, she had prepared herself for many things: losing her husband 5 years ago, adjusting to living with her son Samir and his wife Zara, but not this. Never this. They need to know, she whispered to herself, deliberately leaving the report open. Her son would be home from work soon. Surely they would notice. Before watching full Tory, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. When Samir returned that evening, Amina watched from the doorway as he walked past the table, his eyes briefly glancing at the report before looking away. He went straight to the refrigerator, grabbed a water bottle and called out to Zara. "Is dinner ready? I'm starving." Amina's heart sank. Had he truly not seen it? Or worse, had he seen it and chosen to ignore it? Later that night, she heard Samir and Zara whispering in the kitchen. Amina crept closer to listen. "What are we supposed to do? We can't afford her treatments," Zara hissed. "Your promotion is still 3 months away, and we're already struggling with the mortgage." I know, Samir sighed. "But she's my mother. She's becoming a burden, Samir. First it was her arthritis, then her heart medication, and now cancer? We have our own lives to think about." Amina's legs nearly gave out beneath her. Burden? Is that all she was to them now? The next morning, breakfast was eerily normal. Nobody mentioned the report, though it remained exactly where she had left it. When Samir left for work, he kissed her forehead as always. Zara served her tea with the usual polite smile. But the report sat there like a ghost nobody wanted to acknowledge. That night, Amina made a decision. She had saved every penny from her late husband's pension and her own small earnings from teaching. It wasn't much, but it was hers. "I'm going away for a while," she announced at dinner 3 days later. Samir looked up, surprised. "Where? To visit Aunt Rihanna?" "No," Amina replied calmly. "I've booked myself into Palm Oasis Resort for a month." The fork in Zara's hand clattered against her plate. "The luxury resort? That place costs a fortune." "I've saved enough," Amina said simply. "But Mom," Samir began, "with your condition?" Amina cut him off. "My condition? So you did see the report." The silence that followed confirmed everything. The next day, Amina packed her bags. As Samir helped load them into the taxi, his face was etched with worry and guilt. "Mom, you don't have to do this. We can talk about the report, about treatment options." "Now you want to talk?" Amina asked softly. 3 days, Samir. 3 days that report sat on the table while you and Zara pretended not to see it. The Palm Oasis Resort was everything the brochures promised. Luxurious rooms overlooking crystal blue waters, attentive staff, and peace. For the first time in years, Amina didn't feel like a burden. She was a valued guest. She made friends with an elderly couple, the Rahmans, who were celebrating their 40th anniversary. She joined morning yoga classes designed for seniors, ate wholesome meals prepared by top chefs, and watched the sunset each evening from her balcony. A week into her stay, her phone rang. It was Samir. "Mom, please come home," he begged, his voice breaking. "We've been talking to doctors. There are treatment options, clinical trials. I've taken a loan." "I'm comfortable here," Amina replied. "How long can you stay there?" he asked. "It must be draining your savings." Amina smiled to herself. "Actually, I met someone. Mr. Rahman, he owns this resort." There was stunned silence on the other end. "His wife Noor and I have become good friends. When they heard about my situation, they offered me a permanent place here, a small apartment on the property. In exchange, I'll teach art to the guest children. Something to keep me busy during treatment." "Treatment?" Samir echoed. "Yes. Mr. Rahman has connections with the best oncologist in the country. I start next week." 2 days later, Samir and Zara arrived at the resort, looking out of place among the wealthy guests. They found Amina sitting in the garden, sketching the ocean view. "Mom," Samir knelt beside her chair, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry. We were scared and selfish." Zara stood awkwardly behind him, her eyes downcast. "We thought if we ignored it, somehow it wouldn't be real." Amina put down her sketchbook. "Sometimes, the things we try hardest to ignore are the things that need our attention the most." "Please come home," Samir pleaded. "We'll convert the guest room into a comfortable space for you. I've already spoken to the oncologist here. He can refer us to someone closer to home." Amina looked at her son's desperate face, then at Zara's tearful eyes. "I'm not coming home," she said firmly. "Not yet." She reached for both their hands. "I need to know I'm not a burden. I need to know I'm seen." You were never a burden, Mom, Samir whispered. Never. Over the following months, Amina stayed at the resort while undergoing treatment. Samir visited every weekend, sometimes with Zara, sometimes alone. They brought her favorite books, home-cooked meals, and news from home. Slowly something shifted. Their visits became less about obligation and more about genuine connection. Samir would sit for hours as Amina taught him to sketch. Zara started bringing her recipe notebook, asking Amina to teach her the family dishes she had once been too busy to learn. 6 months later, when Amina's doctor announced her cancer was in remission, the Rahmans threw a celebration party. Samir and Zara were there, along with all the friends Amina had made at the resort. Will you come home now? Samir asked as they watched fireworks illuminate the night sky. Amina smiled. Home isn't a place, my son. It's where you're valued, where you're seen. She squeezed his hand. But yes, I think it's time. When Amina returned to Samir's house, everything had changed. The guest room had been transformed into a bright, airy space with an easel by the window. A schedule on the wall detailed her follow-up appointments, with both Samir and Zara's names next to each date. On the kitchen table, the same one where her cancer report had once lain ignored, sat a beautiful cake with the words, "Welcome home, Amina. We see you." And for the first time in a long time, Amina truly believed they did.